Welcome to One Mind Zen. Tonight's Dharma talk is given by Malintha Hwamin Citta.
Yankinchi Rahula Rupang Atitanagata Pachupanna Ajatang va Bahidang va Olarikang va Sukumang va Hinang va Panitang va Yandure Santikeva Sabbang Rupang Netang Mama Neso Hamasmi Ne Nameso Attani Eva Metang Yatha Bhutang Sampanyaya Dattapanti. The Pali Sutta called the Maha-Rahulovada Sutta from the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length discourses of the Buddha. The setting of this sutra is like this. One day, the Buddha was going on alms round, and Rahula, his late-time son, was following him behind him in alms round. After seeing the Buddha in his physical, majestic appearance, he too took pride in himself, thinking, I too am like him. I too have inherited his genetical features. Like him, I am too from the Kshatriya clan. And he was thinking, the Buddha is like a royal elephant, and I am like an elephant cub. The Buddha is like a lion that has come out of his den, and I am like a lion cub. The Buddha is like a tiger strolling through the mountains, and I am like a tiger cub. The Buddha is like a great boat launched out in the sea, and I am like the small boat. So as he was thinking such thoughts, the Buddha saw what was going on in Rahula's mind, that he was clinging to physical form. So he stopped and turned to speak to Rahula. Rahula, any form whatsoever that is past, future or present, internal or external, blatant or subtle, common or sublime, far or near, every form is to be seen as it actually is with right discernment as, this is not mine, this is not myself, this is not what I am. So Rahula asks, just form, O Blessed One? Buddha says, not only form, Rahula, feeling and perception and fabrications and consciousness. So it's a big sutra that says he stops begging, stops going on his alms round, and then he goes under a tree and then he meditates. And while he was meditating, then Sariputta comes and then he advises him to do the Anapanasati. And then in the evening, Rahula goes back to the Buddha, and then he asks how to perfect the breathing on meditation on breathing. So the Buddha again starts from not on the breathing, but then he points out to the five elements of the body. So in the evening, when Rahula goes back to get more advice on this, because the Buddha says, there are these 5 properties, Rahula. Which 5? The earth property, the water property, the fire property, the wind property, and the space property. And what is the earth property? The earth property can be either internal or external. What is the internal earth property? Anything internal within oneself that's hard, solid, and sustained. Head hairs, body hairs, nail, teeth, skin, flesh, tendons, bones, bone marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, membrane, and so on. Anything internal within oneself that's hard, solid, and sustained. This is called the internal earth property. Now, both the internal earth property and the external earth property, like the rocks, trees, anything hard, that should be seen as it actually is present with right discernment. This is not mine, this is not me, and this is not myself. When one sees it thus, as it actually is present with right discernment, one becomes disenchanted with the earth property and makes the earth property fade from the mind. So I would like to ask you to just relax your body and close your eyes for a moment. Let's gently focus on the hardness of our body somewhere. Can be the legs touching the floor or the buttocks touching the chair. Just concentrate on the hardness. Now we can open our eyes gently and then touch somewhere hard like the table or a book, and then just feel the same hardness that you have felt there on your body. Just feel it with your hands. Okay, so that was what Buddha was trying to point out. So he also refers to the other four properties in the same way, referring to the watery substances in our bodies, and the external watery things we see outside our bodies are nothing but the same water property. That both the internal fire property, like warmth, coldness, and the external fire property are simply fire property, and so on. So the Buddha indirectly tells us that these properties, external or internal, do not know where they abide. That the earth elements in a rock do not know that it is inside a rock. The earth element in our bodies do not know that they are in a body. But then we differentiate and add colors and shapes and cling, and then suffering happens. This is not only a teaching on anatta or non-self. This can also be a finger pointing towards emptiness or shunyata. How this can be so is you have to look at this teaching and see the interconnectedness of things. Internal properties and external properties, their connection. According to Abhidharma, even the smallest physical and mental aggregates never arise or exist or die alone. They arise collectively. Each depends on each other. Causes and conditions fuel this chain of occurrences. The moment we think about causes and conditions, it shows that nothing exists independently. It points to the absence of an intrinsic or inherent nature of things. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. Form may be empty, but they appear. Why? His Holiness the Dalai Lama once said, "It's because things are empty that things exist." And that is why we have to save beings. Things exist, things are empty. And that is why things exist. For an example, this glass. It is empty. Why? It is a glass for you, for those who speak English, but in my language, I consider this in a different language. A little girl who haven't even, or anybody who have not seen a glass will just take it and examine and wonder what it is. It's because it's empty that we attach label onto this. If it is not empty, and if it is very independent in its own side, how can we attach different names to this? It should be referred to a very common thing, and everybody, when they look at it, should see what it is. But it's not like that. It's because this is empty. That is why we make it real from our end, and then we attach labels to it. Same way, it applies to everything that we say, everything that who we are. For some, the Heart Sutra first sounds nihilistic, that negates the five aggregates. But when we look closely, we can see that it's simply presenting us the nature of things in a very indirect way. That even in the absolute world, there is no substance or basis. In the relative world, things do appear due to causes and conditions. And we can cause harm to beings and create sufferings, not only to us, but also others. And thus the cycle of samsara. In Vajrayana, they use symbols to present emptiness and occurrences through those two things called the Vajra or the Doje and the bell. Vajra is the appearance, which is the male energy, and emptiness, the bell, the female energy. And they go far as to use them in pictures of unification of male and female, where most people see and misinterpret. So in the Maha-Rahulovada Sutta, the Buddha does not tell us to stop from detached from the elements, but also to see the interconnectedness of things. Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh says, without a cloud, we cannot have paper. So we can say that the cloud and sheet of paper inter-are. If we look into this sheet of paper even more deeply, we can see the sunshine in it. If the sunshine is not there, the forest cannot grow. In fact, nothing can grow. Even we cannot grow without sunshine. And so we know that the sunshine is also in a sheet of paper. The paper and sunshine inter-are. This can refer to both causes and condition and also the five elements. This relationship that the Maha-Rahulovada Sutta, the Sutra shows. We can look at it in both ways. So the Buddha is not finished with Rahula. He says, Rahula, meditate like the earth. For when you meditate like the earth, pleasant and unpleasant contacts will not occupy your mind. Suppose they were to toss both clean and unclean things on the earth, like feces, urine, spit, pus, and blood. The earth isn't horrified, repelled, and disgusted because of this. In the same way, meditate like the earth. For when you meditate like the earth, pleasant and unpleasant contacts will not occupy your mind. So he goes on to tell Rahula to meditate like water the same way, meditate like fire the same way, meditate like the wind, and also meditate like space. For when you meditate like space, pleasant and unpleasant contacts will not occupy your mind. Just as space is not established anywhere, in the same way, meditate like space. For when you meditate like space, pleasant and unpleasant contacts will not occupy your mind. And then he says, meditate on love. When you meditate on love, any ill will be given up. Meditate on compassion. For when you meditate on compassion, any cruelty will be given up. Meditate on rejoicing. For when you meditate on rejoicing, any discontent will be given up. Meditate on equanimity. For when you meditate on equanimity, any repulsion will be given up. Meditate on ugliness. For when you meditate on ugliness, any lust will be given up. Meditate on impermanence. For when you meditate on impermanence, any conceit, I am, will be given up. Develop mindfulness of breathing. Then only, after all those only, he comes to Rahula's question. Develop mindfulness of breathing. When mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, it's very fruitful and beneficial. So systematically, the Buddha leads Rahula from seeing the nature of things as to how they are, but also how we can develop compassion, rejoicing, equanimity, and impermanence, and save all beings.